A very warm applause for all the dignitaries that are present on the podium today on We Women Want Conclave. It's a pleasure to have you all right now on this stage to talk about issues that are at the core of what women face at every single step of the way, whether personal or professional. I'm going to start off with Reena. She's a name to reckon with. She's called the Gautier of the East. She has gotten international accolades, national accolades, and her name is enough to be synonymous with what the fashion industry, domestically as well as internationally, is recognized with. It's great to have you, Reena, on the telecast with us, on the stage with us. My question to you, particularly when it comes to right from the 1980s, when it was just the start of fashion in our country, there were just a handful of you all who were struggling to put India on the international map. And a girl from Chandigarh, having studied in GCG, and then coming to Delhi and going about charting your own course into the fashion industry, the challenges, the trials and tribulations.
My God, what a wonderful experience. Thank you, NewsX. First of all, I'm very overwhelmed right now with what I just took away from that session we saw with those incredibly talented ladies and what they had to say. Yes, in the 80s, when I came about in fashion, there was nothing. And there was my father saying, you need to just do fashion to get married and stay fair. And yeah, I mean, he's educated, and so is my mother. Yeah. So for them to, think that for a girl at that age, the whole thing, fashion was not considered a profession. Modeling, fashion, anything with beauty was not considered reputable. And at that point, I went into the first very big export factory. There was only high street fashion in India, which in England, you had Selfridges. The whole designer concept hadn't come up. So I went to work with a very big export house here. And boy, that is called hard work. If you think television works hard, fashion works as hard. There was no time, there was no day, there was no night, there was no Sundays. All we knew, but there was deadlines, and we had to deliver. So for a young girl to be thrown into that world when I thought it would be all about glamour, to realize the reality and truth of fashion, it was a little bit of a cold shock. So yes, the industry came up much later, over the years. And today, as you know, it's great to see in a room so many fashion shapes and clothing on everyone. So someone's in a dress, someone's in a kurta, someone is in a fusion. All this wasn't possible back then.
And fashion also being a men's domain. Difficult for women to get their point of view across, get their creative juices flowing, and be accepted into the industry. Tell me about that, because when you start off back in the 80s, NIFT has come up, there is Rohit Bal, there's Gudda, there's Rohit Khosla, there are just a handful of them. And within those handful, there are even fewer women.
So, frankly, in our industry, we have a lot of powerful women in fashion. If you go into any average factory, in the tailors, you don't, in North India, have many men. Though now, that stereotype is changing. I've seen in production line systems are where there are rows and rows of machines and the hordes of male workers and tailors. We also have women. But in certain professions, which is like your other, from craft, from sewing, from embroidery, handwork, crocheting, there is a lot of women. There's a lot of women also in doing your merchandising, in your folding and other finishing jobs. So yes, in fashion, behind the scenes, there are many mighty women. Many of them. It's not really that biased, I would say, in clothing that is so male-dominated. Yes, in tailoring, it is a lot of male domination. And in our fashion industry, let me tell you, a woman is always safe. A man, I don't know. But a woman is always safe. touch wood, I've been in this industry, worked through the nights all my life, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. You know, you can really, you don't have safety as an issue, yes.
That's interesting to know. And Anjul Bhandari, you know, exemplify this when we say fashion being a woman's world, it's safer to be in fashion versus in politics or in entrepreneurship or businesses or the media industry. To what extent is it true, and what allows women's safety and security to further burgeoning?
Thank you for having us over. It's really been really very overwhelming, as Reena just put it across. It was just absolutely fabulous listening to everybody. So answering your question, what Reena just put across is absolutely correct, that our industry is completely female dominated. As you may see, with 3 of us sitting here, and clearly none of us is male. So, and when it comes to going back at backstage working also, it's very women dominated. And considering the kind of craft I do, it's only done by women. So last time when we were at We Women Want, there was this child who turned around and asked us, why are there no males who are doing embroidery? So we actually need to give them a job, if you really ask me, because fashion industry is very women dominated. And safety, yes, we are very safe here. There is a problem when it comes to politics. I would agree that, you know, getting into a man's domain is very hard. But here, it would be harder for a man to enter because it's a very women-dominated area.
So are women as fierce and protective of their territory and their boundaries when allowing for the men to come in?
I think women are more open about it. They really allow everybody to come in because they just feel they're just too much more superior than the rest. And we have this in us. We know we can multitask. We know we have multiple hats on us. And we can obviously deliver and do things better than men can do. So we don't have this problem of, you know, being a little conscious of that somebody will take over our jobs. No, that's not true. I don't think we are scared about that fact. Not at all.
Okay. Perhaps it's the insecurity comes from our male counterparts versus the female counterparts because we're all encompassive. We have.
But I don't think women in our industry have any insecurity.
So tell me particularly about your brand and the Awadh embroidery. You talk about chikankari, Mukesh, and the silhouettes that you bring about to your clientele is Indian. It's deeply rooted in our traditions, whether it is the Mughal tradition. And you tend to work with a lot of karigars, and they are predominantly males, if I'm correct. Or are there women also now taking charge, and they are being given opportunities? And is there a lot of social work involved as well in deciding that, you know, I'm going to go to these karigars, these craftsmen, or women for that matter, and give them those chances to earn their livelihoods, and it's going to be sustainable, and it's going to work out in everybody's favor?
So when you talk about chikankari as an art form, it is completely female dominated. Mm-hmm. So I work with 2 art forms back in Awadh. One is chikankari and one is Mukesh, as you said. So Mukesh is mostly done by men. So there I made a conscious effort of making sure that those men coming down generations can get job who are all 70 plus. So if you go back to our villages, you would realize that after a certain age, if you go to a village, ये बुढ़ा सिर्फ बाहर चारपाई पे बैठने के काम के लिए है या हुक्का पी लेगा. So give them that dignity of working and making that money again and keeping the art alive was my motive to do this. So I made sure that when I work on a craft, there because it was male dominated, that craft has been taken over, and I make a conscious effort of giving it to people who are above 60. But when it comes above 60 years of age. But when it comes to chikankari, that is completely a work from home culture only meant for women. We have no male karigars. The males are only the providers for those females.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I have with me another celebrated designer, Kavita Bhartiya. She's a designer, she's an entrepreneur. Kavita, interestingly, you started off as an entrepreneur. And keeping with the theme of things, a career that is easy for women to get into and then dominate. With the kind of patriarchal mindset that, you know, it's fashion, it's clothes, it's beauty, let it be for the women. But with the kind of advent it has had, the coming of age of fashion of India to the entire world, where the Paris Fashion Week and the New York Fashion Week and the Miami Fashion Week, that there are more and more men that are becoming aware that this is a lucrative business and it has to be so there lies the difference between how women look at things, the opportunities they have been presented, and adapting themselves and making themselves the leaders of the game. Take your mic, please.
I feel really proud to have ridden this wave. I started my business in 1989. When I opened my stores, it was a very good environment when NIFT had just opened. There were all these designers coming out, and it was really, I mean, I think women want to be independent at the end of the day. They want to be the breadwinners, and I think that was, and Ogan has been the largest platform for designers from all over India. We work with 200 designers actively. It is a women-centric organization. 70% of the designers are women, and they're I think the online business is another business that is really doing well, and 47% of the women have started their businesses a year back, and that is really a way forward. It's going to change, be a game changer. There are, as far as I think that quality education is very important today to change the mindset of people. I see that in the international universities, there's a very big topic, which is religious studies. That I feel where all the religious texts should be taught, and so that we learn to respect each other's religions. I think that will be quite a big game changer. And I think from the very beginning, I think schools should also, by teaching morals through storytelling, simple storytelling. I think that should start from the very beginning. And because there are 88 rape cases every day in India. There are 19 dowry deaths. So I think we definitely need to address the changes that we need to make in India on the education front.
Absolutely, absolutely, I agree with you. So with you being the fraternity from the fashion industry, and you are the harbingers, you are the leaders, you have the voice, you are on the public platforms. How are you using this for the larger good, for the welfare, particularly of the women? And when you want to create that awareness that, education needs to start from the home itself. There does not need to be a differentiation between how a boy is brought up in a family versus how a girl is brought up in a family. Being given equal rights right from the start, the education, the opportunities to go out and work, earn your living, and not giving a skewed view about how being a woman is all about getting married and relying on your husband to earn your living.
I think things have really changed. When I started in 1989, I was one of the very few women who started a business and was able to sustain it. And but today, I think things have changed. All the women, I see all the women with their bags, very motivated, and going about doing their jobs. And you see them in every spheres, whether it's lawyers, whether it's doctors, architects, media. So I think it's been a big change.
Yeah. Okay. I'm quickly going to now introduce Gurpreet Kaur Sonal. She's a young fashion designer. She's a pass out from NIFT. She has her own brand by the name of Lanos Vyas. She has, in fact, a store in Shapurjat as well. And it's good to have you, Gurpreet, and amongst the veterans. How has your journey been as a young designer? You started it out, you studied at NIFT, and having a store. What does your brand signify?
Okay, I have an organic, sustainable clothing brand. Our motto is simple: be green in any color you like, and we help you with that. So we make outfits which are made from upcycled fabric, organic clothing like bamboo, milk, aloe vera. So we procure the fabrics, we manufacture it, and then with the upcycle clothing, they stand out in itself since many usage of pattern blockings, zero pattern making, and everything is done. And I believe, like many brands, they have marketed it in a way that sustainability is linked to luxury. But I feel it is determined not to be true. I mean, you can just get your sari of your mother and get it draped into a gown or a sari. What it will get? It will just involve the cost of stitching.
Right.
Sustainable.
Right. And okay, we'll talk about sustainability in just a bit, but what I would like to understand from you, being a single woman, going about striving hard to fulfill your dreams, your aspirations, putting out a label, being an entrepreneur, that's entrepreneurship right there for you. Were there challenges that you ended up facing just by virtue of being a woman?
Yes, there were a lot of challenges. Challenges comes from family itself, supporting the young designer. Then if you are too young, many things come up in supporting, like do this after marriage, do this before, or if you are completely launching new product, the stability comes if you are launching a store or you are online. So that thing comes up, like launching a store was a big thing at young age.
Right.
But support-wise, yes, a lot of challenges were there in terms of arranging the back-end unit. Like I started with my, the support system was to be like, I have many interns. I didn't started with a paid salary system. I had interns which helped me a lot. They wanted exposure, and it started in a way that there were a team of 20, 30 interns, and with that team, it just built. Like everyone has a creative end, and with that creativity, with the teamwork, everything just keep on going. And the concept, it just touched with the research work.
Absolutely.
That what we are doing is not new, but it's one of the few which is not yet come into that fast fashion world yet.
Okay,
But,
all right. So, Reena, I'm going to come back to you. And there's a recurring theme here. The challenges that women face, that young girls face, they have dreams and aspirations, but they are curtailed because family wants them to get married, have a settled life, and being settled means having a husband. There's going to be a steady income that is going to flow, not from you, but from your husband, and you're going to be completely dependent on everything that you want to buy, you want to survive on. So, has that mindset started changing? And is it just at nascent stage? And is it also different when it comes to different strata of society?
Yes, to be honest, different strata of society, even though we are all equal, it does play a big role in these kind of luxuries or options or choices. As in women, you know, there's a clock, the clock of nature, the biological clock. So I assume that pressure comes from there. But today I've seen with the younger generation, they, at least in the certain levels, the girls, what was then like a pressure when I was young, oh my God, you're 21, now you're 22, nobody will marry you. Why? I don't care. I mean, but today, that same time, my nieces and all are getting married at the age of 30. Most of the girls I know are 30 years of age. And that, I assume, the early 20s is now today's 30s. I mean, as they say, it's just a generational difference. But in fashion, one of the big things is the empowerment it gives you. I have so much to thank from being in this world. I have a voice. For a person who was not so communicative, for a person who was not so shy, here my work can speak for itself. Right. In another way, also, we are not all about being alone, because we are a community of human beings who contribute to anything we wear. So like, say, what you're wearing, ma'am, what you're wearing, there are 13 to 14 skilled artisans. Some may be the category, like Anjulji said, only male-driven. Some may be only female-driven, who have gone to make you your one garment. Even a footwear, a shoe we are wearing today, there is about a team of 10 sets. The one guy will not do the work of the other guy because he's generationally trained. So yes, today with times changing, one is trying to, I especially learned that in lockdown, that you don't need 13. You can try and do it with 6.
Right.
And you
Right.
do the same product. So learn the other guy's job.
Okay, quickly getting in Anjul back into this conversation. And Anjul, keeping with the theme, when it comes to body shaming, putting women down, it is particularly women, the female counterpart, that is attacked. And fashion has a great role to play in the current times to allow for these taboos to be fought aggressively, and that has been showcased by designers internationally and domestically. How does the Anjul Bhandari brand do so?
So as a brand, because we are so, we just do a craft. So for me to do a small size is very hard because I do one of a kind. So I actually make an XL always, if you really ask me. So for me to do a small is cutting off that labor, cutting off that money, and cutting off the craft. So I do not appreciate it too much. And the body shaming is something which came in because the women thought of themselves. That logo of my body, my rules came in. That is when a woman actually realized that, okay, even if I'm fat, I'm allowed to dress the way I want to dress. So somewhere down the line, it all comes from within us. So let's not blame it completely on the industry. Let's not blame it completely on the fashion industry.
But it comes from us. It comes
completely
from
comes
us.
from
But it
us.
is the parameters that are set by a society. Which are patriarchal.
Yes.
Kavita, quickly getting into you. So in this patriarchal society where men decide that the domains that are going to be led by men versus women, for example, fashion and beauty would be let alone for the women, and those terms are also dictated by men. How you look, what you wear, what's your shape, how are you to present yourself to the world. It all has been traditionally dictated by men. So how does fashion break these shackles?
First of all, I think men or families need to support women to start their businesses. They support the men in the family, but they rarely support the women. I think that mind is changing now. I think my daughter has not faced any problems. She has the full support of my full family. But when I started, I found it I had to do it with my own pocket money. I got support in terms of moral support, but as they didn't want to at that time thought that they should support a woman.
That must have been a difficult time.
Yeah, it was difficult, but you have to have the fighting spirit. You have to believe in what you want to do, what you want to achieve, and go about doing it.
Absolutely.
And I had the blessings from the Lords.
Absolutely. Gurpreet, last concluding comment from you before I wrap this up. You being a young fashion designer, challenges that you faced from within the family, and now the confidence that you have garnered because you've been able to make it for yourself. You've opened your own label and with no help from anybody. Does that allow for your family to be rest assured that this girl is dependable, is credible, she can walk her way forward without the help of a male counterpart?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, before I come to this answer, I would just add on and comment to the ma'am answer. Like, not in the fashion industry, but I think if the skincare brand is there, they won't choose the female model who is having facial hair to promote their product. So I feel industry has an impact.
In contrast with the kind of aggressive banning of certain kind of people, there is that. There are models with facial hair, there are models who are fat, there are models who are thin. So there's no one prototype to looking at women of how they should be presented and how they should be put forth in front of the world.
Exactly. So one should promote in a way that one should accept their own color and shape, and we should put the models which are in the actual shape, not just the S-size models.
Absolutely.
So, may I add, a noise about sizing in fashion industry has played a big role. I have myself done a plus size show completely, but now even in Indian and international runways, in fashion weeks, there are more than 30% of plus size models. They're a part of the pool. We call them a pool of models who will showcase the collections.
Well, that's
So
fantastic.
we've come a
And
long
huge
way.
round of applause to you, because it comes from individuals like you, strong women like you, who are changing the rules of the game one step at a time, and it's now very visible, and it's being accepted, and it's not being looked down upon or frowned upon or being called a taboo. I thank you all for joining me on this very special conversation. A lot of insight that has been given by you all. It's been a pleasure hosting you on this podium We Women Want. Thank you, Reena Dhaka. Thank you, Kavita Bhatia. Thank you, Anjal Bhandari and Gurpreet Kaur Sonal, for being part of this entire initiative of ITV Foundation. Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.